First of all, thank you very much for having us. We really love Montenegro at Alcazar Energy, and our experience here has been second to none. And let me try to articulate why. So at Alcazar, we have, through the funds that we currently manage, so the stuff that we already have under management is about $2 billion of projects that have made us the largest private renewable energy investor across a number of countries in North Africa and also in the Middle East. And we came to Montenegro, and today at a high level, we're starting construction with about $750 million of projects. It's a convoy of constructions that starts in the next 6 months between Montenegro and Macedonia. That's about 3,100 jobs. And the main thing about Montenegro, and we have the perspective to be able to tell you this, is the very good, genuinely well-meaning leadership this country has. You can look at the renewable energy law, but also when you build a $200 million wind farm, which is the size of our project here, it's like 100 projects underneath. All of them has challenges, whether the interconnection this or the roads that, 400 plots, and it's the very accessible, willing to find a solution in line with the law government that we have here. That, to me, that's 80% of the decision when we come to a new country. And if you're from Montenegro, you should know that. The fact that you have that leadership here trying to catalyze investment, that I think is a big part of that. Then we sanctioned the deal, and we started to look at the region. And this is the second reason I would say you have to invest in Montenegro. If you do a map of Italy, Western Balkans, and you draw on the map the average price of electricity during the first half of this year, you have something in the 135 euros in Italy and a very similar number in the Western Balkans. With the natural resources that you have in Montenegro, on the wind side, the projects become viable at 70 euros. So what I'm saying is you can make commercial sense at about 50-something% of the price of the current market. So there's a commercial fundamental that you need to be here. Then we said, okay, let's bring the lenders. And I'm trying to summarize 3 years of work and millions of dollars and thousands of hours we have invested to get these constructions ready. And we received 2 or 3 times the lending capacity that we wanted for our plants. So the project in Montenegro is being led by EBRD, who is our largest investor. Thank you very much. Together with DEG, who has also been investor in several of our projects and several of our plants from KfW. But also, we're able to mobilize commercial banks. We have Erste on the deal. We have NLP on the deal. So a terrific balance of commercial and multilateral capital that we would dream to be able to mobilize in places like North Africa or Middle East. So another huge reason to invest here. And then we said, okay, we have this convoy of projects starting construction. How are we going to build them? So we went out and did a procurement process to procure $600-700 million of nuts and bolts, design the roads, go on those mountains. And we were surprised by the quality of the local construction companies that you have here. These are entrepreneurs that speak the language of our ESG experts. They are able to speak with the quality that our lenders need the contracts to be. So all around, a terrific experience as a foreign direct investor trying to build large-scale infrastructure. So I just want to make sure, this is not a dream. We're not dreaming anything here. This thing is starting construction in the next 6 months. All of these $700 million of projects are starting construction. Then we went, okay, so who's going to buy the power? Forget about dreaming of AI. We already signed the terms for the offtake agreement for more than 10 years. I cannot give you the name today, but it's one of the top names that comes to your mind when it comes to American technology companies. And those guys are buying the power from the Western Balkans. So I'm not talking about a dream. I'm saying if you have the capital, you have the leadership, you have the natural resources to today come and catalyze good progress. The other part that is not a dream, I had the honor of sharing a panel last week where they said, okay, how much money does the region need? And this is not a dream. You just look at the EIU, electricity needs in the Western Balkans by 2040, you need 27 gigawatts of power, right? So that's about $25 billion. we estimate that 4 to 5 of that, again, not a dream, that's just what we need to be able to meet demand. $4 to $5 billion of that has to come to Montenegro. And that's why we agreed to sign an MOU with the government, where we are increasing our commitment from the current construction, that's $200 million to $500 million over the next 5 years. But I want to explain why. Because that will be about 10% of the investment that Montenegro needs for renewable energy. We had a very similar experience. In Jordan, we did some of the first wind and solar plants as well. And in Egypt, we did 4 of the first solar plants. In both countries, we were the largest private investor. That totally, it was about $750 million. And that was also 10% of the total investment in renewable energy by the end of 2020, when the initial investment cycle goes. So again, not a dream. You have the right lenders, you have the right leadership, you have the right construction companies. You're in a region where electricity is expensive. You're well interconnected. Thank you very much for that. So if you had to ask me challenge, yeah, and this is more, I really mean this respectfully as an opportunity to our EU representatives who are here, because, and I want to explain that Alcazar was just an intermediary between a number of what are 75% European investors and good projects. If you could look at the GOs, if you could look at the laws that this country has approved for renewable energy, but you could also look at the GOs, the certificate of origin, that are produced in these Western Balkan countries today cannot be traded in Europe. The law is not there. I'm telling you, we have companies from several European destinations that today would love to be able to buy the GOs in these countries. That's why we are kindly asking to consider catalyzing that right. Because if the speed at which investment would happen, the way in which we'll be able to charm people like Ramon to give us a loan for the project, the fundamentals would be so much stronger if we could trade those GOs. I say that jokingly, sometimes I make that mistake. It would be a very helpful component to build what is otherwise an amazing investment.